Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud, held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor, or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire fraud. Theft.
Before I let you go, I want to ask you about this massive fraud out in Minnesota in the state welfare program. Has been under federal investigation since all the way back in 2022. The president told you, though, this week to look into Somalis who, quote, ripped off that state for billions of dollars. He said they contribute nothing. What exactly are you investigating?
Well, Margaret, to be clear, the initial fraud that was discovered by the IRS, for which I'm the acting commissioner, is discovered by IRS Criminal Investigations Unit. This was not an endogenous thing that the state of Minnesota decided we had to go in and clean up the mess for them, and this is part of the continued cleanup. A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are
mortgage-backed security. What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system. And that money has gone overseas. And we are tracking that both to the Middle East and to Somalia to see what the uses of that have been.
Okay, but you have no evidence of that money being used to fuel terrorism at this point, which is what some conservative writers are alleging.
That's why it's an investigation. We started it last week. We'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that, it's terrible. Representative Omar tried to downplay it, said, it was very, it was very tough to know how this money should be used. Yeah. She was gaslighting the American people.
Well, we'll talk to her.
Yeah, but when you come to this country, you got to learn which side of the road to drive on. You got to learn to stop at stop signs, and you got to learn not to defraud the American people.
Well, there are plenty of criminal behavior from communities well beyond the immigrant community. But we'll talk about this with Representative Omar shortly.
Oh my gosh. All right, folks. This isn't just the last show of 2025. It's a warning. America is at a crossroads, truth or illusion. The American dream is slipping. Families are breaking. Corruption is normalized, and global forces and AI are reshaping our future without our consent. And they want Christians silent. Here's the reality. Without faith, the West collapses. 2026 decides everything. All right, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all as you watch this broadcast. It's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Of course, we have Nicole Bennett.
Hey, y'all.
And Shelly E.
Hi, everybody.
All right, we have so much to cover tonight, our final show of 2025. Before we light this fire, do your part. Tap that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and turn on your notifications. We are live here on YouTube and Rumble. And if you're on the go, you can catch us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out every super chat. So drop your thoughts, show your love, and join the conversation that the mainstream media wishes didn't exist. This is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Stand with us and subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. Again, tonight we are talking about the issues that will define 2026. All right. Before we get into it all, Shelly, what did you think? We want to start off with this Somali fraud. What did you think of that exchange that just came on?
All right. First, before I go in, I want to say hi, everybody. I apologize. I'm working with some limited resources. A few things have been going on in the last 24 hours, but I'm here. Happy New Year's Eve. Secondly, what the hell is she talking about? Why are these people so hell-bent on protecting immigrants? And I'm still going to say most of them probably are illegal. But okay, in this particular, what is the problem? These people don't understand. No, they understand. They don't want to acknowledge that this is America. They don't want it to be this way. They want us to be this, whatever, this, I don't know, this emblem of diversity, and everybody comes and just takes from the American taxpayer. This is crazy. She seemed like she was upset, like he had the audacity to want to protect Americans' money. Get the fuck out of here, Margaret, and anybody else tonight. I got a few F-bombs. These people have really hit the damn level.
Yeah, Nicole, did you see how they're particularly talking about the fraud in Minnesota within this Somali community, and she throws in, well, there's fraud within the United States outside of the Somali. What was that needed?
Well, listen, it's not needed, but they're looking for a talking point that's going to stick, because it was the alleged fraud, and then their own AG had to come out and say at least half of the $18 billion that went to these 14 programs has been stolen. And they're standing there like, well, it was stolen and there's nothing we can do. Well, there's plenty that we can do. There's a whole lot of things that we can do. So Margaret is doing what Margaret does. She's throwing things against the wall to see what sticks. It's the worst type of journalism, in that she's really not asking a question to listen for the answer or to learn anything about it. She's looking for a gotcha moment. And she had the wrong guy for it, because Bessent wasn't going to give it to her. He certainly was not going to give it to her. He's right. This fraud is unconscionable, and it's making us look in other places. But first, we're going to shake Minnesota by the ankles and get some of our money back and help hold these criminals accountable. Somali, American, it makes no difference. You can't rob from us. Once we pick you out of the butt crack of the worst countries of the world and bring you here on the good grace of the American citizen, the least you can do is not kill us and not steal from us. The very least you can do. And he's absolutely right with that.
Yeah. Well, there have been indictments and arrests, and more are coming. Starting in 2022, the feds indicted 47 in the initial $250 million Feeding Our Future bus. Then there have been 90 charged total, with 60 plus convictions so far. 2 got slammed really hard, one with 28 years in prison, another owing $48 million in restitution. Now it comes back up to 2025 in November of this year. The 78th defendant, Abidasha Reed Bixie Duel, again, he's Somali, was indicted on 7 counts of wire fraud and money laundering for his role in the scheme. Just a couple of weeks ago, 6 more were indicted, 5 in a housing fraud ring, including fraud tourists from Pennsylvania who faked $3.5 million in claims, 1 who bolted to Amsterdam after a subpoena, and 1 in an autism scam targeting Somali families with unqualified therapy. And he used inflated Medicaid bills. I mean, the list goes on. And now Kash Patel is saying this is the tip of the very large iceberg. Are we going to see anybody bigger than role, like Tim Walz, like Ilhan Omar? What are your thoughts on this, Shelly?
Unfortunately, I call me cynical. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, put it like that. And I'll tell you why. Because our federal government in general, but certainly our federal government, is too big. It's too big. This is why this fraud continues. It's too big to audit. It's too big to manage efficiently, and it takes too much time to get the right things done and corrected. I don't think we're going to see any prosecutions, at least not in the next 3 to 4 years, maybe 10, because this is how much this bureaucratic muck and mire is going to take, or how long it's going to take to go through it all and to cross the T's and dot the I's. This is taxpayer money. But again, I'm going to keep saying this. Let you, Nicole, myself, anybody on our team, let us happen to be late for our taxes and see how many IRS notices we'll get before the year is even out. Okay? Watch this. Watch that. This is ridiculous. I'm sick of this. I want my money back. I want my money back.
Yeah. Before I get you in on this, Nicole, Shelley, how do you think, or how do you believe this government and public corruption is going to define 2026? Are we going to see some type of result to this, or will it continue to go on?
I think there's much more to come. I don't just stop at Minnesota. As a matter of fact, I know that it's happening in 50 states across the country, and Puerto Rico and the other U.S. properties as well. It is happening. And again, you know why? Because we have, let me see what I pulled up today. Our federal government, state governments combined, we have over 130 something different programs across agencies that are not just duplicate, they are replicated over and over. They dip and dive between each other or amongst each other. There's this it's like a big ball of yarn, and you can't really find the starting point. So not only are we spending, or have we spent billions, if you will, fraud in Minnesota, multiply this at least by 50 and then multiply it by 100 or more programs, and we come up with the big sum. This is just an estimate of about 1.8, almost $2 trillion a year in fraud and abuse across government programs. That's what we come up with. Again, but let us be late with our taxes or even underpay, and you will have a letter or two before the end of the year.
Yeah. Nicole, I mean, can a nation survive when corruption is tolerated instead of punished?
Do you know, of course not. So here's the thing. This is what we like to call the social services industrial complex. Serving the poor, quote unquote, the poor has become its own industry in the United States. And like Shelley was saying, all of these people who work in government in this particular sector of the government have a vested interest in poor people staying poor, right? So if it means not fully funding a program or closing your eyes to somebody taking advantage of a program, then so be it. Because I'm a career, worker. And it makes me no difference whether these Somali kids who have autism really exist, or are they the kids that I told you, KJ, yesterday, they were going to be busing children from across the damn nation to make it look like there are children participating in these programs. This is exactly what regular Americans hate about our government. Absolutely hate about our government, because they will take our hard-earned dollars and squander them. I mean, absolutely squander them, and then turn around and look us in the face April 15th and say, I want more money. I want more. I know I've not been a good steward of this money. I know I allowed people to rob us blind and then talk shit to our faces about who they are and who they think we are. But you're going to have to give me more because I lost that batch of money. Americans should say no. As a nation, we not another dime until you run me back my money. I want every Kenyan vacation home sold and cashed in. I don't care about them getting 20 years in a cushy American prison. I don't care about that. What I care about is I want my money back. I feel like Shelley. I want everything they have seized. I don't give a shit if they have wives and children. I want every single dime back, because as long as they allow them to get away with it, they'll just keep taking it from us. And at some point, Americans got to say enough is enough. And this is a good place to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Again, this is out of control, and it's not just in Minnesota, folks. This is all over the country. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 2.
That nothing is being done, that no one is being held accountable, that this was just let to run rampant is completely false.
Well, some people have been held accountable, but I think in the opinion of most Republicans, not nearly enough. And truthfully, until somebody in a position of power, until somebody in a position in Minnesota, elected position, who was in charge of administering this or having some oversight over it goes to jail, it's honestly never going to stop. Look what's going on in blue states across the country. $9 billion in Minnesota, $70 billion in fraud in California, cooking the crime stats in Washington, D.C. When is someone in a position of power going to go to jail for the rampant
hold on a
fraud?
second.
What I am telling you, though, is in the case of these states and locales, this is public money, taxpayer money.
Sure.
People get elected. They're supposed to run these programs.
The DOJ is doing their job every single day.
About
and they
Tim
are,
Walz, the Medicaid program is run by the state.
The DOJ is prosecuting
and he bragged about putting more money into this daycare
system
that is obviously rife with fraud.
Time.
Oh my gosh. Shirley, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with Abby Phillips?
How freaking no. Again, she sounds like Margaret Brennan. Oh, now all of a sudden she's such an advocate for the DOJ when it comes to them digging in and finding out who these fraudsters are and actually indicting them and prosecuting them. These people are frauds in their own way. So hell, why would they know one? Okay. This is ridiculous. This she knows darn well she's just placating and wanting to sound like she's so offended and upset. I want my money back, bitch. Okay. I'm sick of these people. This is going on again all across the country. And this is how these bureaucrats and politicians stay in power. You know why? Because they use our money for the kickbacks. They use our hard-earned income to get their money, get their positions, digging in, if you will, fortifying themselves, and then they get all these kickbacks. They prop up the I don't know, whatever. They prop up whatever business or whatever fraud business they come up with, and they get the kickbacks and cycle through. This has got to stop. Again, if we talk about a just and fair America, if you or I, the one of us did these things, they wouldn't blink about prosecuting us. They would not think twice about it.
Yeah. Nicole, I mean, these Somali households, they're not only interlooped into this fraud, but then they're also predominantly on social services. Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 3.
First things first, I'm actually so shocked that Trump is attacking us. I think Trump should be thanking us in multiple ways, and I'm going to explain. First things first, I think we are a good example of what the American dream can look like. Like Somali Americans, and it's making me sad and it's funny. Like I know Somali people are very funny. We're like the class clan who also happens to be valedictorian. Somalis in Minnesota are so successful. I take multiple trips a year to Minnesota and I leave so inspired. You have Somali-owned law firms, Somali-owned pharmacies, Somali-owned everything you can think of. And it's so inspiring to see that what my community could do in just 30 years. Literally, we came to this country not speaking English, not knowing anything. We're Black, Muslim, we're immigrant, and we're able to be that successful. It should be really applauded.
No, you guys are not that successful in Minnesota. 89% of immigrant Somali households are on some type of welfare. If you look above my head, you'll see that 23% are on cash. If we go over to food stamps, you'll see that 62% are on food stamps. If we go to Medicaid, you'll see that 86% are on Medicaid. So 89% of Somali immigrant families that have children are on some type of welfare in the United States. 89%. And this is coming from the Center for Immigration Studies. Now, in the vast majority of cases, if someone is on Medicaid, they are a net recipient in tax dollars, meaning the value of the benefits they receive from the government is more than they pay into the federal tax system. Again, that means they're a net recipient. They are taking from the system more than they're contributing to the system. So essentially 9 out of 10 Somali immigrant families that have children are taking more in dollars than they are giving to our federal tax system. I wouldn't define that as success. Let's keep it real. We should also be paying attention to this and just not ignoring it. But let's go back. Look at the light gray. It says Somali immigrant households with children over 10 years in the US. So these families have had over 10 years in the United States. And there's only a 3% difference in the amount that are on Medicaid and not. So after they've been in the US for 10 plus years, 83% of these Somali immigrant families with children are still on Medicaid. Again, that is not.
Wow. All right, Nicole. So you heard the lady before. She's saying Trump should be thanking us. And we thanking you for 89% of y'all are on welfare. What's going on?
Listen, they full on expect America to give them everything. They full on expect that. And here's the truth. We did that. We did that. We welcomed, again, I'm trying not to be upset, but I had a Somali experience today that has pushed me beyond, my usual decorum at my job. But let me tell you, I will say this. We've given them a chance at a life that they could not even fathom. There's no way they could imagine the wealth, the plenty, everything that we've willingly handed over to them. But there's something inherent in their culture that says, well, if they're willing to give us this, we can just take this much while they're not looking. Well, somebody should have been freaking looking. Somebody should have been looking. And when Scott Jennings talks about people in high places that should go to jail, we said this yesterday. The people who inspected these places, they need to go to jail. The people who come in to make sure that you have water and food and all of this for childcare, the pop-up inspectors, all of them should go to jail. Everybody, adult person who walked into that building and saw that there was no children there, every single one of them should go to jail. Now, Pam Bondi's got 98 people indicted. Congratulations, but I need some zeros behind that 98. I want everybody who had anything to do with it arrested. Now, will we have a big criminal prosecution? Is Tim Walz going to do anything spectacular? Of course not. Of course he's not. He is, the undercover Democrat darling, has been and will continue to be. That's good news for us conservatives, because anytime you talk about his name, this Somali fraud is going to be attached to him. But these people have taken advantage of our good heart, taken advantage of our good nature. And what they're saying is, we found the flaw in your system. We're going to abuse the system. And on top of that, we're going to send the money back home to people whose intent it is to kill you, to destroy your nation. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
Yeah. And all of them on welfare. And so not only are they defrauding the system, they're defrauding the system, but then somehow all these people have been able to get on to welfare and have been on welfare for many years. This is the problem, folks. And this is why we're talking about this. We're counting down the main issues that will define 2026. And this is one of them: the government and public corruption. As Shelley said, it has said for most of the year, government is way too large. And in order to crack down on all of this, we got to stop the government programs. We got to stop them. And I'm not talking just about the nonprofits, the NGOs. I'm talking about social programs. We got to wean off of this stuff and slow it down. I mean, cut it big time. But nobody wants to talk about that because it's the constituents, no Americans. We say it on here. We need to cut. But when it comes time to cut, people say, I'm not going to vote for politicians that cut social programs.
Well, that's true. And KJ, that's why they do it, right? So, I have a lot of grievances. And if we're going to have a late Festivus, let's do that. Here's the airing of my grievance with this thing. We have a conservative leaning Supreme Court. We have the lead, I don't want to say control, over the Senate. We have a greater lead in the House of Representatives. We have the most prolific culture president in the history of this nation. Yet we have done nothing to do the things that we said we were going to do. I mean, legislatively, he can only do so much by executive order. We still don't have voter ID. Why? We got the numbers. What are we waiting for? You know what we're waiting for? We're waiting for the midterms. But we cannot continue to legislate in between election cycles. I need them to be brave, to step up. So the hell what if it costs you your seat? So what? Go on and do other things, but do the right thing by everybody else in this nation. But what they do is they want to protect the seat. They want to protect the goose that laid the golden egg. They want to get all the insider tips about what stock to buy and when to trade it to make themselves wealthy. I get it. You have to be a special breed of human being to even put your name on a ballot, let alone win and continue to win. It takes a certain amount of narcissism to do that, right? But at some point, even at the end of your career, you have to think, what have I really done to help the American people?
My goodness.
Anyway, yeah. Well, wow. I'm still revved up about this. I know we could talk about this, but let's hear what our super chatters have to say. I'm sure they're revved up as well. We have Kung Fu CJ. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He says, hello, ladies. Merry New Year in my EM voice. Let's get it. Thank you, Kung Fu. Happy New Year's Eve. Hi, Josh. Happy New Year's Eve. Thank you for your $20 super chat. He says, Happy New Year, Poppin' Politics fam. Much love, joy, health, and success to all of us for 2026. US. Thank you. Kung Fu CJ is back again. Thank you again for that $5 super chat. PAP family, let's end the year with a bang. Get them likes up and subscribe and share. That's right, everybody. Go ahead and take your time. If you haven't done it, hit the like button right now. Laura B, thank you for your $5 super chat. Happy New Year's Eve to you too.
Thank you.
Julia Ganell, thank you for your $5 super chat. Happy New Year, she says. 634 Somali-owned daycares were just discovered in Washington State. All getting millions. It's everywhere. Absolutely. It's like COVID. It's everywhere.
Right.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for being a member of our Freedom Club. And Jessica just gifted 5 Poppin' Politics memberships.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Jessica. That's so kind.
Thank you, Lavina. She's also a member. She became a member today, I think. Thank you for that, Lavina. Laura B is back for your $2 super chat. She's asking, can we talk about Melissa Hortman? WTF? All right. And we have a few more. Thank you, ladies and guys, for your super chats. Lavina, again, thank you for your $20 super chat. She's saying, thank you so much, ladies. I'm so glad that I found people that are as angry as I am. I live here in Minnesota and have had enough of this fraud. I, too, would like my money back. Absolutely, Lavina. Thank you, Kim, for your $5 super chat or your super sticker. Thank you for that. Shelly Anderson, a namesake there. Thank you for your $10 super chat. She says, if you count a second for 11 days, it would be 1 million. But if you count a second to get to 1 billion, it takes 30 years. Huge difference. That's right. They've been knowing about this for some time.
Yeah.
Who's it? Oh, some girl 811. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, thanks for bringing some common sense to the conversation, y'all. I appreciate you, and right back at you, some girl. Thank you all for your super chats. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button right now, and we're going to keep it rolling.
Absolutely. Now, before we move on, because I do want to acknowledge or respond to someone who mentioned Melissa Hortman, because I looked into that earlier today too. Now, from what I've seen of the news reporting, that didn't have anything to do with the guy who was indicted for that. He was not Somali. I think he was a white man. And from all reporting, they're saying that I don't know if he was a Trump supporter, but he was not a Democrat. From what I'm seeing here, did you ladies have you looked into this?
I don't know about him, but I've heard. I have not looked into a lot, but I have heard that she was the one who voted. She was the one who was murdered, right? And she was voting on back in the summer, I guess, or early spring. She was voting to open up some books, basically, to make some things transparent. So people are saying that some kind of, I don't know, maybe a hit job on her and her husband or whomever, that they didn't want this information to come out. But apparently what the allegations are is that she knew there was some wrongdoing going on and she wanted it to be revealed. So, well,
she voted against allowing immigrants to have welfare, is from what
because the things that she knew or supposedly.
Right. And
well, that's what I got to do.
Right. And then this guy, Vance Bottler, he's been indicted for the murders of her and Mark Hortman, along with the shootings of John and Yvette Hoffman. So he's been indicted and everything. I'm not sure if the court case has come up yet, but he had a manifesto and everything. But it looks like he had on his list to also go after Tim Walz, Ilhan Omar, and a couple other people who were pro-abortion. I believe they were on there, from what my research is showing. So I'm not sure he had anything to do, at least from what they're reporting. Now, if there's some other things going on, but I don't see where he had anything to do with the Somali community per se. I don't know. But Shelly, I think we got some more super chats here.
Yes, we have some more super chats here. We have Bernie. Hi, Bernie.
Hello, Bernie.
He says, Happy New Year to you all. Good health and abundant lives. Thank you, Bernie. And right back at you. We wish you the same. This is Monica. Thank you for your $20 super chat, Monica. Happy New Year's. Kung Fu is back. Thank you again, Kung Fu, for your $2 super chat. He says he used to work for Tim Walz.
Right. He did used to work for Tim Walz. So we don't know. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see what happens and what comes out in the court case regarding that. But we will see. It's not far-fetched, but we'll see. All right, folks. So again, as we mentioned, as you come in, hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience, and subscribe. This is our last show for 2025. We want to go out with a bang. We appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We got so much more to talk about. So let's get into it. Again, we are talking about the issues that will define 2026. Next is what it means to be American. What is the idea of America? Before we get into it, let's take a look. This is a video of, well, take a look here. This is clip 4.
Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Hanulato! Somalia Igea! Somali Igea! Somali Igea! Amaga Egowa, Jacob Frey, Yarub! Doka Magalada, Minneapolis! Mufiatai! Satay!
America, let me get this straight. Somalians are not black. They are Somalians. And I don't understand why they trying to act like, oh, we people of color. No, you are Somalian. There's no such thing as people of color except black Americans. Kamala Harris is not a person of color. She's Indian. Let's get that straight. And I'm tired of people, every time something happens, they want black people to unite with them. No, bro, we are not uniting with you, bro. No unity, bro. You on your own, bro. Simple. Black Americans only stand up for each other. And that's how it always should be. That's how it always should be. Not trying to unite with Mexicans and shit like that, bro. That shit make no fucking sense. Soon as shit hit the fan, y'all want to come to us. No, bro. Go to the white apologists, bro. Go to them white liberals, man. Stay with them. They will protest for you, because us black folks are not protesting with y'all. And you see black people protesting with you, they not black Americans. They are the Haitians or something else, bro. They're not black Americans, bro. And if they are black Americans, they just as dumb as the white liberals. Alright, so again, Somalians are not black. Somalians, stop trying to act like y'all can compete with us, bro. Y'all can't compete with us, bro. Alright? Y'all can't.
All right. So let's get into that video. The first part of it was the mayor of Minneapolis at some type of festival in Minnesota. And as you can see, he is speaking Somali. Okay. This is America. We speak English. Shelly, what are your thoughts on that? And then the next part was the gentleman talking about Somalis are not black.
Yeah. First of all, I'm calling him Mogadishuapolis, number one. And Jacob Fry, he should be impeached as well. That's number one. But see, what he's done is he has this little enclave of his people, Somalians now, that are voting the people like him and other Somalis in. Thus, we have all of this chaos and fraud. That's number one. Number two, anybody, I don't care if you are American, I'm talking about you're born here, and I'll give maybe some space for the naturalized ones. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-naturalized citizens, naturalized immigrants. What I am becoming more and more anti is that if you were not born here, you can't hold any office. I know that may not apply to Jacob Fry, but if you were not born here, that's where I'm about 9/10 of the way. If you were not born on U.S. soil, you cannot hold office. But for Jacob Fry's of the world, they need to be taken out of office immediately. a ballot petition or whatever, a write-in petition, they need to be taken out. They don't give a damn about Americans. They want to reinvent Somalia over here. We don't want that here. We do not want that. We have a Skid Row in California and other places. We don't need more. As for that second guy, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah, me either. I didn't know either.
What is he talking about? Okay. Now he's taking this racial angle again, making it this competition between blacks and darker skinned people or people of color. First of all, I may be black or what I am called as black, but there's only one race, people, the human race. There's one race with many ethnicities, okay? And we are not defined. We should not be as Americans by, oh, you're in this box. The government has done it for long enough. I stopped doing it over 20 something years ago. This is nothing new to me. I am an American. I've been saying it for more than 25 years, okay? I'm an American. I'm a human. My sex is female, okay? Sometimes it's positive sex, but nevertheless, nevertheless, my sex is female. My sex is female, okay? And that's it. X chromosomes. I just happen to have brown skin. I love my brown skin. Thank you, India Ari. But I'm not in this. I'm looking for because your skin is lighter than mine or darker that we're gonna be against each other, or you ain't black enough. Man, go somewhere, take a shave, trim your beard or whatever. That FBA Israelite, Hebrew Israelite, whatever stuff, that's gone. You're an American, okay? These people want your money. They have worked off of your back or lived off of your earnings in your back. That's all that should matter to you. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. They need to go back to where they came from and give us our money back.
Yeah. So first I want to say, citizenship is more than paperwork. Being American means loyalty to the Constitution. It means respect for the rule of law and national sovereignty. Citizenship requires commitment, not just residence. Now, I want to get your thoughts on what the gentleman said, Nicole, at the end part. What did you think about what he said?
It seemed like he was responding to something, so I may have lost a little bit of context, but I'm rocking with Shelley. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. I don't know what the point, where we were going with it. I think what he's trying to do is say something that probably does need to be said in certain corners where he's probably a much popular person, in that Black people can't come to the rescue of everybody's crime and be your backup, especially when you're committing a crime against us.
Right.
Now, he could have picked better words, but it is what it is. There is a growing sentiment among certain Black people saying, why are we sacrificing our quote unquote political power for these people who don't give a damn about our communities or anything else? Again, remember, I told you in November, brown is the new Black.
Mm-hmm.
But brown's real smart. When brown gets in trouble, it hides behind the Black. That's when you start hearing them talking about Jim Crow and colonialism and, all of these things. When they start bringing out slavery and all of these emotive things for a certain subset of Black folk, they're doing that to rile up in those people that these people look like us. So there should be a kindred spirit between us. And if you're coming for them, then it means you're coming for us. And it was kind of pleasant to hear him say that in his kind of mixed up, warped way. Mm-hmm. However, as he got to the end, I don't know where he was going with that. I don't know, what the end game was with that. I think he just probably should have cut the video before he got to that point. However, there are people who feel that way, mm-hmm. who are feeling like, I won't say that they're starting to see the world from a different purview, but they are starting to get game to, why are people using us? Why are they throwing rocks and hiding behind us? What's that about? Because truth be told, like Shelley said, it wasn't just white people money that these Somalis were taking. They were taking your Black ass money too. They mm-hmm. take everybody's money. It doesn't matter if your skin is brown because your money is green. And that's what they came here for, the green money.
Yeah. And let's talk about, what it means to be American. Take a look at this next clip. This is a friend of the show, Kathy Barnett, out of Pennsylvania, talking about it. This is clip 6.
And so that's a fact, and they don't want to talk about that particular aspect of it. But if you come to America, you don't get to live in little Somalia with better Wi-Fi. You come here to become an American. Assimilation is not a suggestion. It must be a mandate. Immigrants should absolutely be required to assimilate. They should assimilate to our laws, our languages, our culture, our values. And if you benefit from America, then you should also be forced to bear the responsibilities of being an American. For me, this is very simple. This isn't about skin color. It isn't about accent. It isn't about what kind of clothing you want to wear, what kind of food you want to eat. I don't care what kind of food you want to eat. I don't care about what kind of clothing you prefer to wear at wedding ceremonies. I care about 3 things.
Hallelujah. That was Kathy Barnett. Yes, out of Pennsylvania. And she was right on. Yes. America is an idea before it's a place. And being American isn't about skin color. It's not about class, ancestry. It's about embracing a creed, freedom, personal responsibility, equal justice under the law. And guess what? Anyone can become American, but not without adopting American values. And this is what we're talking about, folks, when we go into 2026. This is something that's going to define us. And we all, as patriots, need to hold on to these types of, talk points and understand it and live it and continue to push it. Shelley, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. Let me say what we're talking about. Again, what it means to be an American. Right. I wanted to be as clear as I could today. I wrote down jotted a few things down. Number 1, what does it mean? It means that we need to start with recognizing and appreciating that our identity is made in the image of God, not in the image of government. That's number 1. Okay. Right. Our rights. Number 2, our rights come from God, not government, which means that by virtue or by implication of that, we have a responsibility and an obligation to protect our rights, the rights of freedom, the rights of justice, liberty, things like that. And our rights are simply encoded in our declaration under life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we do. We have a responsibility and obligation to make sure that those rights are not just given to us, but that they are here for posterity, for our children and grandchildren and children after there and however long the line goes down. And then thirdly, this implies that because we are made in the image of God, because God gives us our rights, and that we are obligated to steward them. I'll say that, to steward those rights. Okay, this also means that we, as Americans, we have to hold our government to account. Because if our government becomes like the government of North Korea or China or Somalia, okay, or any other government that is not built on these principles, again, also part of Western civilization, but certainly from the biblical foundation, if they are not built on these principles, then we will fall. We won't have any country called America. We won't know what our American identity is. This is the part where we call it American exceptionalism. This is why we are exceptional, not just because we can make money and we can produce jobs, but this is why no other country that I'm aware of is founded on these principles and on this particular foundation. And let me say this, because I know some of you are going to say, I've said it before, so I'm not mocking you. No, we're not a theocracy, okay? Our government, because we're made in the image of God, we're not mandating that you become a certain religion or that you practice a certain religion. We're certainly not going to behead you if you don't. But when you come here, this is the foundation on which you stand, because this is the country that we were given. It's our responsibility. And by golly, we are going to steward it correctly.
Absolutely. Nicole, as we go into 2026, what does it mean to be an American in your point? What do you think is important to focus on? as far as what it means to be an American?
For me, the core tenets of being an American rest on the responsibilities of being an American, not so much just the privileges of being American. As we go into 2026 and celebrating America's 250th anniversary, we should take a hard look at the Declaration of Independence, which, by the way, for the very first time ever, the original document will be laid out for Americans to come and see. Right? It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You can be in line with me. I will be there with my Unapologetically American t-shirt on, which you can get on our website. Small commercial. But this is what's important. When you read the Declaration of Independence, it lays out plain the reasons why we're breaking away from England. He had no cut cards. He was honest. He was forthright. He said what it was. We have had enough of your shit. We have had enough. Now, put yourself in that mindset. They're here. They're colonies. The French are here. They're raping and pillaging. They got the Native Americans to deal with. They got a whole lot of people here that are doing things to them that they could not even conceive that could happen to them. They're taking their crops, taking their food, taking the women, taking the children. So all hell's breaking loose, and they're depending on England to protect them. And England's like, no, we'll show up when we want to, but you better have that tax money. Does that not sound familiar? Does that not sound like April 15th every year?
You're right.
Shut up complaining and run me my money is what England said. And Thomas Jefferson and the other signatories said, to hell I will. To hell I will. We've had enough. We're done. You want smoke? Welcome to the smoke show. It's about to get really real. And that is what the Declaration of Independence really says. Now, it says it in their language, the English that was back in that day. But to condense it, what it was is how Americans feel now. We are fed up, maxed out with these people. And we're maxed out with the leadership who allowed it to happen. We're maxed out with the leadership who absolutely says it's okay when it's abundantly not. It is not okay. So what does it mean to feel unapologetically American? I'm furious. However, in that fury, please hear the love I have for this nation, for our way of life, for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's the part that people, lose track of sometimes. There is no other country on this planet where you can be born to humble circumstances and by hard work and a few good breaks and some good connections, catapult yourself to the top of the pile. No other nation does that. Nobody else. That is uniquely an American thing. So much so that we bring people from these butt crack nations here and let them have things for free. We are very philanthropic. We are very generous people, and Americans need to hold on to that. It is a core tenet of who we are. However, let's not lose sight of our George Washington-ness, right? Don't think George Washington like the guy on the Quaker Oats box. Think George Washington like you see at the West Wing of the White House when he was young, blonde, and hot and kicking a bunch of ass. That George Washington, right? We have to remember this country is worth fighting for. This idea of being an American is worth fighting for, and passing it on to future generations should be our number one priority. Because without us, what happens to the rest of the world? We just had 4 years of example of weak American leadership, war all over the place.
Right.
Come in one strong American, the peace president. And what are we experiencing now? A resurgence of American exceptionalism. And I know Democrats hate that word, but hear me very clearly. This is an exceptional nation. The hand of God all over us. We walk in that grace. With grace comes responsibility. We've got to protect it.
Absolutely, Nicole. And what you said really hit home for me, because folks, as we go into 2026, we have to grab onto the idea that we know America is exceptional. American exceptionalism is real. America's not perfect, but we are unique, okay? And whether you are white, black, yellow, whatever, we have to believe that we are an exceptional nation. We believe freedom is universal and worth defending. And that belief made America a beacon, not an empire. We aren't colonialists. We are a beacon of hope, of freedom. And so hold your head high. You know, if we should be proud to be Americans. And yes, we look different. I'm, Black American. You may be white American. Somebody may be Indian American, whatever, but we are Americans, okay? And so we need to walk around like we know what we know, hold our head high. We are proud of our president. Like you mentioned, our peacetime president. We are proud of him. Whether you voted for him or not, we stand tall for our president. We stand tall for our country. And we should not be made to be shamed of
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. We got a couple of super chatters here again. They're not ashamed either. Pastor Damon, happy New Year's Eve, Pastor Damon. Thank you for your tonight.
Hey, Pastor Damon.
A wonderful explanation, ladies. Our founding documents, America as an idea, the history revealing the struggles, good teaching. Thank you, Pastor Damon. Any more coming producers? I'm waiting for you. We have Wombat. They told me to wait for them, so I'm trying to follow instructions. We have Wombat for your $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, "Hey ladies, first time watching your show. In '92, I was 19 in the Marines and deployed to Somalia. It was the worst experience of my life." Well, simplify, Wombat. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. And make sure you subscribe, Wombat.
That's right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank
we
you
appreciate
so much.
it. Yeah.
So we do. You're right, KJ Nicole. We have to stop apologizing, if you will, being ashamed. Again, I know they say when Americans travel abroad, a lot of people don't like us because we are arrogant and whatever. You know what? I don't care. Now, I'm not saying go and be rude. I'm not saying go and be rude and just be embarrassing. That's not what I'm saying. But I do hold my head up when I travel. I always say I love showing that I have a U.S. passport. I love it when we get back on the cruise ship or the plane to come home. I am excited, particularly when we're out of the country. I'm excited because I can say, you know what, I'm an American. Here's my passport. So no, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed, and I'm not apologizing. I didn't come to your country to rampage, to steal, to just bring disreport to our country and your country. But I'm spending my money in your country. You better be darn sure I'm going to have my head up when I do so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and like I said, folks, we are here. We are talking about the biggest issues as we go into 2026 and how they will define 2026. And so this next issue here is the American dream. So we just discussed what it means to be an American. But what about the American dream? The concept has changed a lot over these 249 years, almost 250. But what is it currently, and what will it look like next year? So let's take a look here. One of the things that has been talked about quite often, and I looked this up, is the 50-year mortgage. Okay, so right now, buying a home has become increasingly out of reach for many people, folks, as higher prices and interest rates continue to squeeze buyers. So now they have this new idea to put home ownership back within the reach by putting out 50-year mortgages. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this. This has been passed around a lot lately. But take a look as Glenn Beck really digs into what it is and the ramifications of it. This is clip 5.
I heard a crazy idea today about a 50-year mortgage. Oh, wow. So the average person is in their house for 12 years, and I got a 30-year mortgage, which means I'm not really putting very much into it because the bank is taking all of the interest rates for the first, 10 years at least. They're taking all the interest first. And then I don't really start paying on my house off until the last 15 years of that mortgage. But now, instead of a 30-year, you want me to do it for 50 years? Oh, okay. Well, what is that going to do? Well, first of all, it's going to raise the price of the house. I mean, if everybody starts to get able to, I get a 50-year mortgage, so I can afford a house. We have a shortage of housing, so the mortgages, the house payments the house prices are going to go up because we have a lack of housing. And then on top of it, you're going to double the payment anyway because you're paying all that extra interest. You're just charging more and stretching it out. It's like solving hunger by not giving food, but just giving longer straws to people. Okay, wait, what? You're going to pay double for the same house. It means double the interest rates. And while your roof has to be repaired, the brand new wiring that you had when you bought the house all needs to be redone. The appliances have to be replaced. The bathroom is completely out of date. It all has to be replaced again. You're still paying on that house. Okay, this is like buying not one house, but two houses, and it's not freedom. It is trapping you. And, you know, what really bothers me is it is home ownership. No, I'm sorry. It's renting disguised as home ownership. That's what that is. You're not going to build equity into a house like that. You won't own your home until you're in your 80s. And if you bought it later in life, your children are going to inherit the payments that you have. It matters.
All right. So let's get into this. Nicole, is a 50-year mortgage really that much crazier than a 30-year one?
Listen, 50-year mortgage is foolishness, and the 30-year mortgage ain't much better. Here's the thing. Most Americans, by the time they get home buying time, you know, they didn't sort it out who's going to be their life partner and all of that kind of thing. They're 30-ish, 40-ish, you know, and they're not going to stay in the same home, as Glenn said, more than maybe a decade. If you get a starter home and then you bump up and maybe you get a raise or you find your career path and do better and you bump up some more. 50 years is a very, very long time. That's more than a lifetime, especially to people who learn in, 30 seconds, 90-second increments. We're talking about a generation that does not have a long attention span. So you're telling them for 50 years, they're going to have to pay on this house for 50 years? It's inconceivable. He said something there that I'm going to take. I love Glenn Beck, but I'm going to take a little exception with where he talks about we have a housing shortage. We don't have a housing shortage. We have an abundance of migrants. That's the problem we have. We boot another 5-6 million of them. Our housing problem has been solved. We have too many people living here who should not be here. Let's just call it what it is. This is another way of holding young Americans hostage so that you can bring in more migrants into our nation. This is precisely what this is. Because think back 10 years ago. Did we have a housing shortage 10 years ago?
No.
Didn't have a housing shortage. Americans aren't even moving anymore. Right. Most people are living where they live. They're not picking up and saying, I'm going to try my luck in a different state unless they're forcibly, like people from New York City. I don't blame them for picking up and moving. People from California, I don't blame them for picking up and moving. But you don't see Idaho to Iowa. You don't see that anymore. And Americans used to do that. Well, they don't do that anymore. And so many reasons why. And one of them is, what are you going to get when you get there? Are you going to get the same foolishness that you have where you live currently? Isn't it better to pick the devil you know than the devil you don't? And that is not American exceptionalism. That is not the way America was designed to work. We should be able to live wherever the hell we want to live and have a good life. That's that pursuit of happiness part. It's hard to pursue happiness when you got a 50-year bill on a home you don't even want to live in after 10.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, before I move on to you, Shelley, I want to ask you, Nicole. So what is the American dream currently? Is it still a husband, wife, 2.3 kids, and an affordable mortgage on a 3-bed, 2-bath home? What is it as we move into 2026 and we see AI, globalism, all this stuff popping up? Is that still the American dream? Is that still what we are all pursuing as Americans, or most of us, I should say?
I think to a degree, there's a generational gap right? There are those of us who still have that 1950s American dream that was ingrained in us in elementary school and middle school. You know, you go off, you get educated, you get a husband. We call it the success sequence. Good things happen to you at the end. There's a very good chance that you're not going to live in poverty if you follow these steps in this order. But there's a whole lot of young people now who say, you know, I can be single for the rest of my life and I'm okay with it. I can live in this 2-bedroom apartment for the rest of my life. It seems to me that the American dream has gotten sleepy, that it is not as competitive and as aggressive as it once used to be, that Americans aren't chasing greatness anymore. And that is a sad state of affairs. It's seemingly that they're okay with mediocrity. They're okay with living here for the rest of their lives. And that's a sad state. I hope it changes. I think we are seeing with the resurgence of people understanding what America is, people, you know, going to religion and rededicating themselves to family, that it will come back. The American dream will come back, but I think it'll look a little bit different. I don't think it'll be 2.3 children, a dog, 3 bedrooms, you know, 2 baths. I think it'll look different, but I think it'll still be the bedrock that keeps this nation moving forward. I just can't wait for it to happen.
All right. Very, very great points. Shelley, I mean, we have some in the comment section who are saying, you know, that it's become unaffordable. So is that what it is? Is that why Americans aren't chasing greatness anymore? Or has the American dream changed?
Yeah. I think it's a mixed bag. I do. And as far as the 50-year mortgage, I am against it. Okay. Now, again, I know banks will offer however many packages or whatever the case may be, but I think the 50-year mortgage, I think the fact that that is even a choice to be offered, I think it says a lot. We do have millions of young people, and I'm talking about less than 35, who are saying they can't find a steady job or a job that will sustain them to have a family. They can't buy a home. And also, let me give you this little stat that I pulled up today. Americans in general, work about 5 to 6 months out of the year to cover their tax burden. So 5 out of the year that you're working, that's going to all the taxes that you owe. Okay. So that means that's from the tax foundation and from the John Locke Foundation. So that about what? About 1/3, if you will, of your income for the year is already you're working for to pay taxes. So of course, our taxes are high. People can't afford homes. Having a home, buying a home, maybe 20, 30 years ago, you could buy a home. Most people stay in their home, I'll say whatever, 10 to 15 years, give or take, in that range. And then, but having a home in a community, whether it was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, whatever the case may be, it also gave you some grounding, some stability. Your home was also one of the best or the biggest ways that you could leverage to even grow your wealth and your assets. Okay. So many people, young people that cannot buy them, that takes a hit, if you will, to the overall economic picture for young people, certainly. But again, if we're going to keep Social Security, we need young people to pay into the system, into this little, what do you call it? Whatever, not MLM scheme, pyramid scheme called Social Security. So if they're not buying homes, they don't have the income, then they're not going to be paying into Social Security. If we're going to keep it, I say we need to get rid of Social Security and give everybody their money back and let them buy health insurance, health savings accounts with their money. But nevertheless, affordability is a huge factor, or unaffordability is a huge factor. As it relates to the American dream, I think that dream is still there. I think people it's become a nightmare in many ways. Okay. It's become a nightmare, and many people are kind of scrambling. They're saying, wait a minute, I'm an American. I am doing what I can do. I am working. I'm working overtime. Well, yeah, we just got no tax on overtime, but I'm working overtime trying to do what I'm doing, and I can't make ends meet. I can't get the American dream. I still have to beg, borrow, and steal, or rob from Peter to pay Paul, and I'm doing the things right, and I'm taking the hits. So this has to stop. Again, when you see the disparity between these bureaucrats and these programs, 134 plus of them across the country, across the agencies that are dishing out fraud, waste, and abuse to the tunes of trillions of dollars. There's only billions in Minnesota, but trillions of dollars. Yes, I think there's an unaffordability problem. I think there's an apathy problem. I think Americans are tired. You know, what's the old saying? You're tired of being tired. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We want change. I want to start with giving us our money back.
Yeah, all great points. All great points. So you're saying Americans aren't chasing greatness anymore. Some say the American dream is unaffordable. Americans are working more. Now, it's my opinion that the reason why we're having so many of these problems is the failure, or I'll say the destruction of the family. And the American dream was built on family. Okay, strong families create strong citizens. Marriage, motherhood, fatherhood, and commitment matter. And when the family weakens, the nation follows. So this is why we're having all of these issues, in my opinion. And take a look. Next clip is Thomas Sowell, and he's talking about family and independence. This is clip 7.
Family has always been disintegrating. That is nonsense.
What I find most interesting about Sowell's work is that it utterly contradicts what Americans are taught about Black poverty. Sowell says claims of systemic racism in America are propaganda.
If you go back into the 20s, you find that a married couple families were much more prevalent among Blacks then. As late as 1930, Blacks had lower unemployment rates than whites. So all these things that we complain about and attribute to the era of slavery, those things should have been worse in the past than in the present.
Sowell says the bigger cause of Blacks' problems today is welfare.
You began to have the mindset that goes with the welfare state, so that there was no stigma any longer attached, for example, to being on relief.
The things they thought were going to help did not help, and in many cases made things worse.
Sowell concluded that many government programs did much more harm than good because of affirmative action.
Something like 1/4 of all the Black students going to MIT do not graduate. You're talking about a pool of people whom you are artificially turning into failures by mismatching them with the school.
All right. So, in my opinion, what he was talking about as far as the Black community has now morphed into a nationwide problem where we have a younger generation that believe they are owed something and believe that the state is supposed to provide them a large portion of their lifestyles. And so when we have this sort of mindset, we see that the American dream does fall apart because that isn't what the American dream is about.
Yep.
I want to get your thoughts on that, Shelly. I know we have some super chats.
Yeah, you're right. There was a book, I forget his name, an African guy. He wrote this called Things Fall Apart. Now, he was talking about Africa, but the title applies to what we're saying here. All of these things are certainly the foundation of family. All of these things feed off of each other, if you will. Again, it's like a big ball of yarn, and now we need to pull it apart. And we do. We're going to have to the mindset. I love what Thomas Sowell said. You if you're on welfare long enough, you begin to have the mindset of government dependency. Okay, so that tells you that the mindset probably was not there first. It's something that you learned maybe from a young age. You learned, and now you think this is the way it's supposed to be. But if the things are falling apart before, I mean, this is what we end up with. We have to rein things in. We're going to have to. And guess what? In reining them in, that means that there is going to be some factions that are going to suffer more than others, maybe in some ways. That's a fact. We have to own it. People are going to suffer to some degree. We're not saying people are going to starve, because you know my motto, nobody's starving in the United States. Nobody's going to starve, okay? But we will need to suffer, if you will, as a nation. Certainly some factions, maybe more than other, if we're going to start cutting those strings and untangling this ball of yarn.
And let me just say this just very quickly, folks. COVID has did a number on this country, and I would say for a matter of fact, the globe, okay? And we've talked about so many things the scamdemic did. But one of, I think, the most, I won't say this is the worst thing it did, but it's on the top of the list, is it created a mindset of the government giving you checks, okay? And I remember this like it was yesterday. A young lady that I know, family friend, she was at the time maybe 18, and she was talking about how she was waiting for her COVID check. Because remember, they were giving out these checks, periodically throughout the scamdemic. When it wasn't, half the people didn't even need it. And then it got people to start thinking, oh, this is nice if I get a periodic check, an occasional check from the government. And this girl was only 18. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about. All of this stuff was by design. They want us government dependent. The left and globalists want a large state, because if we get dependent on the government to give us things and develop things for us, then we don't care about the American dream. That grit that we all, were born with, that we nurtured for so many years, that starts to go away, and we become affable. Is that what it was? Is that the word?
Yes. Apathetic.
Right. Yeah. So, folks, we got to get that grit back. We got to get it back. And another thing that I believe sort of causes this, particularly in young men, is the fact that they're not going out there and they're not getting their livings. Many men are sitting behind desks these days. We got AI doing everything for us nowadays. And so we have lost so much with that, where we don't have that get up and go anymore. It's like, oh, this will happen. This will happen with the computer or what have you. It's made us weak. Okay.
Absolutely. 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 Let's see what our super chatters. Oh, I'm sorry, Nicole. Let me go. Let's see what our super chatters say here. I don't think they're weak, but let's see. All right, we have Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you for your $2 super chat, Kung Fu. He says, KJ, the meaning of the word mortgage is till death. Yeah. Oh. Okay. You're right. You're right. Jan Marie Kelly, thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, I found your channel months ago and I've been hooked ever since. Love
that's so sweet.
Thank you, and your views on current events. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you,
Jan Marie.
Magdalene, thank you for your $2 super chat. She's saying, pray for a strong President Trump. Strong president after Trump. Otherwise,
exactly.
Kung Fu CJ again. Thank you for your $5 super chat. He said he's posted a link to his show with Soldiers of Finance, and we talk about money and taxes. Absolutely, absolutely. Josh, thank you.
Wow, Josh! Oh my gosh!
$5 super chat. And Josh, as always, you are a member of our Freedom Seekers Club. Thank you so much. He's saying, thank you, ladies and producers. Pop in politics is changing the landscape. 2026 is part 2 of 6 in a string of the 6 most important elections in our nation's history. Wow. Fraud and chain migration will be the issues that wins the elections to defeat these evil globalists. Thank you, Josh. Again, happy New Year's Eve, everybody in the chat. And go ahead, Nicole. I'm sorry.
So I was going to say, there's been a war on boys probably since the 80s. Right? Sit down and shut up. That's not how boys learn. Don't run around. Sit down and shut up. That's not how boys learn. Well, guess what boys are doing now? They've turned into men and they're sitting down and they're shutting up. And it has affected our nation greatly. That's not to say that all men are that way, but that is the way when we talk about what's happened in public schools. This is the way that liberals like the world. They like people controllable. They love them when you say, listen, nobody go to work because there's a flu going around and it might kill you. It might kill you. So everybody stay home. And don't worry, we'll send you a couple pennies in the mail every now and again. The world folded like a fucking paper tent.
Yeah.
I mean, it made me furious. I didn't stay home, but it made me furious to see people that I knew to be strong, devout patriots just give up the ghost like it was nothing. Like it was absolutely nothing. And it wasn't just the United States, it was around the globe. And this is 100% of the reason, well, Fauci should be in prison.
Oh,
He should
yes.
be in prison. Saying all that to say, we can change this trajectory. We can definitely get our focus back on family and unintentional consequences of evil acts. The murder, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I mean, he was popular. Don't get me wrong. Charlie was very popular with a particular subset of people, but that popularity has exploded since his demise. It really has. So you see all these young people hearing TPUSA saying, get married. Don't wait until you're 40. Get married now while you can still enjoy it, right? Have a family. Have as many children as you can make. Do that. This helps build a nation. And it's purposeful to say this. The Bible teaches us you should be fruitful and multiply. It doesn't say wait until your stock portfolio hits a certain number. It says none of that. Children are a blessing. You'll find the money. As Shelley said, I've not seen any starving people in the United States. We are fairly robust as a people. Let's put it nicely. However, there are people who do believe that our social services belong to them. Just the mere hint of having to work part-time, 20 hours, sent America into a tizzy. They were all over social medias. You're taking my food stamps. You're taking food out of my mouth. It's not your damn food stamps. It's not your money. This is taxpayer money. We're trying to help you, prevent you from starving in the street. But when you have 5 generations of one family living in HUD housing and everybody collecting benefits, this sin is the only word I can think of. It's a generational curse. It is a curse to raise your children dependent on poverty and poverty mindset. It is a curse. It is not a good thing. This is where we see 3 little boys robbing the damn Walgreens in their pajamas and thinking it's funny. We have to right the ship. And the way we do that is we change education. Instead of letting these furries and whatnots teach our small children to not compete and everybody's the same and everybody's equal. We are not. We are not the same. Competition is good. It is the American way. And some days you'll win and there'll be days that you lose, but you have to learn how to lose. You have to, or our nation is in real trouble, because guess where they know how to lose and win? China. China's very competitive. Very, very competitive. So we've got to get ourselves together. This is really serious, people. Really serious.
All right, Shelley, I know we have some additional super chats here.
Yes, we do. Thank you all so much for chatting with us and donating us tonight. BCF President, hi. Nicole.
Hey, Deontay.
Thank you, Deontay. Happy New Year's Eve, Deontay. Thank you for your $20 super chat. He says, Happy New Year's, friend. I'm proud of you all. You all are doing a great job. Keep popping. And I'm gonna supersede Nicole. You all look out for the BCF Gala. I think it's coming up in February, right? Nicole will say more in a few minutes. Thank you, Lori, for your $2 super chat. She says, thanks for keeping me sane. So hard to stay hopeful. It is. You know what, Lori? It is hard. Don't get me wrong. I get discouraged sometimes, upset. I think we all do. But then you have to just kind of wash your face, say a prayer. And sometimes my prayer is, Lord, I ain't feeling it today. I am not feeling it. That's just how I talk to the Lord. And so then you just got to keep on. Once you know what I've also learned, Lori, very quickly, sometimes, a lot of times maybe, the feeling doesn't come first. The feeling normally comes after you do the walking, so to speak, after you start doing it. So again, I understand, Lori, but thank you for your super chat.
All right. Yes, indeed. And Nicole, please share about the BCF Gala coming up in February.
Yes, February 19th. It's going to be at the Trump Kennedy Center, and it is going to be spectacular. If you have never been to a BCF Gala, what you can expect camaraderie of the real kind, not the fake kind, the real kind. And you'll see lots of people that are influencers, people who are legislators, who are in the midst. And there's a reason for that, because BCF does good work. You know, when we get after something, we get after it. So it's not only a good party, this is networking of the highest order. If you've ever wanted to whisper something into the ear of CJ Pearson, this is your moment. Jeffrey Mead, who was featured on the show a little bit earlier, is going to be honored, one of our honorees. Christian Newton, who was once an intern with BCF, then the chief of staff at BCF, now works as the chief of staff of the Department of Energy. He's going to be there. You want to talk about a tremendous young man who's taken all the opportunities in life. to sit with someone like that and say, hey, I've got a son, or bring your son. Listen, Christian, this is my son. Learn from him. Make a connection. That's what happens at these BCF galas. What else happens? The food is amazing. The entertainment is top notch. I can tell you that because my brother-in-law usually plays it. Kevin Howard Band, shout out to Kevin Howard. But you will hear from people you never thought you would hear from. I hate having a secret because you guys always try to get it out of me, but it's a secret. I can't tell you who it is, but let me tell you, Alice Johnson, the pardon czar, is going to be there. There are going to be so many people from across the spectrum of conservative world. It's going to be spectacular. And BCF cleans up pretty nice. I'm telling you, I got this purple gown.
You already got your gown. Wow.
You can't wait. You can't wait on the BCF gala because stuff
always has her gown 3 months in advance.
Y'all know how I do. I got like 4 gowns. So, it is what it is. But the purple one is the winner. The purple gown, and it's going to be spectacular. So get your
purple for the Ravens.
No, man. Absolutely not.
We got a big game coming up, right? The Ravens.
We got a game on Sunday.
You wear your purple gown for the Ravens.
No, I'll be wearing my Steelers gear, and I will be waving my terrible towel. Make no mistake, and thinking hateful thoughts just for y'all, just for you two, right?
Wow. We were talking about real quick. I just want to mention this, but we were talking about, like, again, boys and not being all this affordability, so to speak. I'll give you a quick example, very quick. I know someone who I love this person. She has a young son. And so her son is very busy, very active. Okay. So, but she's a single mom, but she has this mindset. No, I don't want him to do this. I don't want him to play football. I don't want him to go out in the woods because he might fall down. I said, you know what? You're turning him into a bitch. I told her that. I said, you're turning him into a bitch. I said, he's a boy. He's supposed to go out and fall down. If anybody should be going out playing in the woods and picking up whatever, bugs or whatever. But you're right, KJ and Nicole. There's been a war on boys, and we have made our boys, if you will, our young people weak. You're right. And so now all of this plays into the first topic we started with. What is an American and what is the American dream? All of these things, these may not be the macro or the primary, but they are certainly some important secondary issues, and they all feed into this big ball of yarn that we have to unravel.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Folks, as you come in, please hit that like button. It helps to get this video out in front of a wider audience. It tells YouTube to share our video. So please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. What are you waiting for? We are here. We're your family. That's our next topic, family. But we're family because of like minds, shared values, patriots who love this country. So join us by subscribing so we become a larger family. All right. And so again, tonight we are talking about the issues that will define 2026, folks. All right. As this is our last broadcast for 2025. I can't believe the year is almost over. And so the next topic or issue is family. What makes us family? Is it just birthright or is it more? With the increasing rate of young adults opting not to communicate or stay in contact with their blood relatives, what does this mean for the main pillar of a successful society? Take a look at this next clip. This is clip 8. This is Frank Zanu. He is I believe he's a psychologist of sorts, or and he's had viral videos all over social media. And here he's talking about culture, which I believe is a very important aspect of family. This is clip 8. Take a look.
I studied mass communications journalism. So in mass communication journalism, you would study what is called advanced multicultural understanding.
Yeah.
And in advanced multicultural understanding, you get to talk about defining culture, people, customs, traditions, means of communications.
Yes.
So I seem to have, on a certain level, an understanding, unless you want to blame the textbook and my professor who taught me.
I might.
So first thing that comes to mind when you talk about a culture, first thing that comes to mind is language. That's the first thing. So if you talk about Japanese, and of course it's Japanese language. If you say Chinese or China, Chinese language, and it's very identifiable, right? It's distinct, it's identified to one particular group of people. You wouldn't say Germans, oh yeah, a little bit of Chinese here and there. No, yes. Chinese is Chinese, German, right? Language is the first thing when you talk about culture. Language, the first primary ingredient. That language allows that collective group to form a worldview. As soon as somebody says culture, you're thinking of that people, that group, their collective worldview. And as the word itself implies, meaning how do these people here, how do they see the world?
Yes.
Which is life.
Yeah.
Which includes you. How do they see you? What allows them to want to interact with you? And when they do, how do they interact? All this is informed
yes.
by the worldview.
Yes.
So culture is a worldview made possible by the language a collective group of people speak.
Yeah.
So, somebody, I think you may ask, then what is a worldview?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's where exactly what I want to be, where I want to start is, what is a worldview to you? What would you consider it, and where does it start?
So a worldview, you can, an example would be, what does a father tell his kids at home every day? You can understand that when they say parents, filial piety, which is the relationship between parents and children, mm-hmm. It's not just hugging, it is what comes from the parents to the child.
Yeah.
The question you should ask is, what role does culture play? And why is it so important that people always identify with culture? The role culture plays is one thing only. It prepares you, which comes from your parents to you, how you should embrace the world. Because you are going to step into the world. It is not how to prepare you as to the food you should eat. It is not how to prepare you as to the songs you should sing or dance to. It's not how to prepare you to the clothes you should wear. You can choose to dress your kids in Chinese clothes, even though you are Jamaican or Black American or African or anything.
Wow, that was such a powerful exchange. And I want to talk to you ladies about that because I thought what he said was very important, particularly to America, how our culture ties us all together. You know, and we kind of, I didn't even realize this, but as we were going down the list of things that the issues that are defining us in 2026, we've kind of built, I don't know, like it all came together and right down to this part where we're talking about culture. Because shared culture creates trust. And America was built on a shared worldview. And so we're seeing how globalists and the left are trying their best to tear it down. Our belief in objective truth, belief in right and wrong, belief in personal responsibility, belief that rights come from God, not government. These are our American shared worldview. And it's not an ethnicity. It's held America together. And we see that the left and Marxists and globalists are trying to really tear this down and confuse and redefine it all because they know this is how they tear up the country. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on this, Nicole? I want to start off with you on this. How does culture tie into this? And then on top of that, of course, family.
Listen, when we start to silo people, it breeds division. It also breeds hatred, right? Because suddenly we're not alike. Like Shelley said earlier, we are all of the same race. We are all very much human. Now, you may have a little bit more melanin, a little less melanin, but it does not negate that you too are a human being. The shades of color that our skin takes on is just the beauty of that human race. But traditionally, we have allowed people to say, even within smaller cultures, like in Black culture, light-skinned people and dark-skinned people should hate each other. You hear this all the time. House Negroes, field Negroes. There was a thing on that was going around TikTok a couple of days ago talking about who's going to be on the House Negro side, who's going to be, in the fields. What the hell? It's 2025. Why is this even a topic? Why are we regressing instead of progressing when it comes to race and culture? our culture should not be looking to separate us as a nation, but to bring us together to the best of its ability. Listen, I'm no apologist for people who have problems with people of other races, that kind of thing. If hate's your thing, then run with it. But as an unapologetic American, I'm going to tell you this should be first. God, family. This is where we should be. Without loving yourself, it is hard to see love of your family. It is hard to see your connection to other people. I think it happened probably started in the 80s and it's gone through the 2000s, where we went from earning money for the collective to me, I'm a superstar. All the money for me, I can have 5 or 6 wives across the course of my life, but I am a rich person. Natalie Munn just did an interview with Cam Newton.
I saw it.
Baddies, and all she could think of was money. That's all baddies bring. Shit, I'm a boss because I can pay the bills. So he says, well, what else do you bring to a table that would attract a man? Well, I can pay the bills and I'm a boss because I make more money than you do. And even if you make more money, I'm still the boss because I can make money. It's like, what kind of foolishness is this? But this is what this division among people has brought us. Instead of looking for things that bring us together, we're looking for things that further pull us apart. Thus the destruction of the family, because the other thing she said that baddies bring to the table are babies. Not baby daddies, but just the babies. Not a husband, but just the baby. The destruction of the family is real because when you raise children in a certain way, they see that as what life is supposed to be like. Are you looking to be married? Are you looking to build a solid foundation for your family? If you are married, what's the plan? Women love a plan. I mean, heads up, fellas, if you're in the chat, women love a plan. We don't care what the plan is. It's just how we're built. You give me a plan, we're gonna do it. We scratch through it. We're taking everything off the list. This is just how we operate. So when we see these women saying, I'm better at planning than he is, I make more money than he is, the next thing they say is, I'm a better man than he is. And this is where we start thanking each other on Father's Day. You're a single mom. Happy Father's Day. What the hell? You're not a father. You're not a man. It is the destruction of the family. It's this division that is driving the destruction of the family and why we're finding it so hard to advance. We see ourselves consistently regressing because family is no longer important. And that is the destruction of any culture, not just American culture.
Very well said. Very well said. Shelley, what are your thoughts on this as we move into 2026? How family and culture will define us in 2026?
Yeah. One of there's a sociological theory, I think it's called the Sapir-Whorf theory, and it basically says to know a culture is to know their language. If you can know the language of a culture, you will know that culture. You will become enmeshed in it, so to speak. You have to learn the language. And I'm not just the ABC, so to speak. Culture is not just about an alphabet. It's about how that culture, like Frank was saying, how it shapes the views, if you will, of the children that's in that family, in that community as a whole, how these communities, families build that culture, if you will, to have the goals, to have the view of how they're going to step into the world, how they are going to pursue life, if you will, pursue happiness, pursue liberty, how we're going to, again, in this particular instance, how we are going to show up as Americans. What language are we speaking? Well, Langston Hughes said in that poem, I too am the elder brother. I sit at the table, when company comes. I too sing America. That's what he said in that poem. I too sing America. Therefore, what are we going to teach, if you will, teach our children, our families? How are we going to show up? How are we going to teach them to show up? We have to start somewhere. We still have time. By God's grace, we're still here. So we still can get some things right. Okay. That's number one. As far as family, if you will, only being blood, no, because number one, people can adopt, and that's how you come into the family. You come into that particular worldview, okay? There are some people who don't have maybe any family members, blood family members that are alive, maybe nearby, whatever the case may be. You can make people into your family, but you're speaking the same language, right? It's not just someone who is a totally different worldview. And I'm not talking about disagreements. There's disagreements within family and you still love them. I'm talking about the worldview, the culture. You can bring people into your family. There are people who make families. Hell, I mean, you marry and make other families, right? So you're not blood related to the person you marry either. So therefore, families can be, I guess I'm going to say, made. Yes, you have children in your families, your marriages. So it's not just about blood. It's about a relationship. Ultimately, it's about a relationship, shared values. That's what I want to say. Shared values. This is also the beauty of being an American. Anybody can become an American. Anybody can come into our family, but you better come and get on and not get on welfare. We don't want you here if you're going to try to tear us down. Okay. We don't want you sucking off of the tip of our government. And we don't want you here if you do not want to assimilate to our culture.
Yeah. And I think what you said is shared values. That was really important because a nation cannot survive without a moral framework, and laws reflect values. Values come from worldview, and our worldview shapes the culture. And so because America was built on a shared worldview, which we mentioned, belief in objective truth, right and wrong, personal responsibility, all this comes from the shared worldview, which again starts in the family. And so this is why we are seeing the left really push division within the family, within the country, and so on and so forth. Speaking of that, this was a controversial subject. Oprah Winfrey just had a show recently, and she was talking about this new phenomenon that I guess is very prevalent called no contact. Take a look here. This is clip 9.
I have been no contact with my entire family for a year and a half now.
No contact?
No contact.
Not a phone call, not a text, not a nothing?
Nothing.
For a year and a half now. Okay. Chris, how about you?
It's been 4 years since I've had contact with my parents and my siblings.
4 years. Not a word?
Not a word.
Okay. And Kendall?
I've been no contact with my 30-year-old son for 2 years.
By your choice?
By choice.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into this. This video went viral. It was an episode on Oprah's recent show where she talked about this trend in modern relationships, often actually tied to psychological advice. So these are these therapists and things giving people the advice to stop contact deliberately with family members. So what it is a means deliberately severing all communication and ties with family members, usually parents, but sometimes siblings or extended kin. So, and it's generally due to some type of, it's a full-time estrangement, blocking numbers, ignoring holidays, and treating relatives like strangers. They're calling this a mental health pro for healthy boundaries, for escaping toxic dynamics. So want to get your thoughts on this, ladies. Now, let's first preference this. We generally have seen no contact for situations like abuse, physical abuse, major mental abuse, trauma, things like that. But this no contact goes a step further, where they qualify things like unhealthy boundaries, could be something as a difference in politics, or a badgering family member, says things you don't like to hear. I mean, it's definitely goes beyond what we generally see as cutting ties with someone. So what are your thoughts on this, Nicole? Do you see this as something as far as dividing families, or do you see this as a good thing?
Well, it's definitely dividing families. And we're going back to that thing about division. when we have a generation of children or young people who never learn to confront, who never learn to compete, who are anxiety ridden, just living their day-to-day lives, not extra, just their regular day-to-day life. What you see is the basis for an open mind and for someone to come in and plant a thought that says, well, you know, if you didn't talk to a certain person in your family, how do you think that would affect you? Would you be happier? Because ultimately, you being happy is the goal, right? Not, here's a conflict. What's the conflict resolution? When I tell you, I know a bunch of young people, just I would say from 20 to like 30ish, a bunch of them. And almost all of them are on some sort of SSRI. They're on some sort of antidepressant. They're on some sort of anxiety medication. It's because as children, they never learned how to look at things and dissect it. Critical thinking skills. They always say, well, no, we learned to read between the lines, but you can't read between the lines until you actually read the damn lines, right? You have to learn to compete. You have to learn to look at the world. And sometimes, yes, you got to pull a ponytail and take your earrings out and deal with the situation, but you have to learn to deal with it. What we see with this no contact thing is not only am I not going to grow myself or grow a better relationship with my family by confronting things, I'm just going to take my stuff and go back to my apartment and sit there and mind my business. This is what I'm talking about not chasing greatness, not being willing to compete. We see it across the spectrum in the American culture. We see people saying that the minimum wage should be $25 an hour because I work at Burger King. The answer is not to raise the minimum wage. The answer is to no longer be an employee who requires the minimum wage. Up your skills. We see people sitting in the same position in their job, no ascension, for 20 years, and happily so. This is what I mean about not chasing greatness. You have to be willing to leave your position of comfort to take a next step. KJ, you know that's biblical. You have to be willing to grow. God grows us. And these are people who are turning their back on that, saying, no, I'm comfortable here. And my mom wants me to get married, so I'm not talking to her again. My dad, I don't like him. I don't like the way he cuts his hair. He's an asshole because, he's a Ravens fan and, the whole family's a Steeler fan. For reasons that should be easily ironed out. Like political reasons. Oh, you're a Trump person. I'm never speaking to you again. Jimmy Kimmel's wife. I don't even talk to my whole family because of politics. Are you serious? You let a 4-year election tear you away from the descendants, the legacy of your family. There's something inherently wrong with that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you talked about conflict avoidance. Conflict avoidance is being sold as self-care. This is what they always say. Oh, self-care. I can't deal with this person. Self-care. This is what it is. And you got psychologists, psychiatrists, and therapists pushing this nonsense. I want to get you in on this, Shelly. What are your thoughts here?
So, number one, it is inherently wrong. Again, outside of those areas that you mentioned, the abuse, neglect, things like that, outside of those issues, it is inherently wrong. Number one. Number two, children are supposed to honor their parents. Okay.
Absolutely.
Not the other way around. And I'm not saying that you just get to beat your children. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? It's not the other way around. So children are supposed to honor their parents or, their elders by extension, if you will. That's number two. In doing so, what you should learn is that as you grow up, you should see your parents as more than just your milk provider. You start to see them as human beings in their own right, with their own flaws, their own challenges, their own strengths, their own weaknesses, so to speak, whatever. This is why you can have people, elderly people that you call mom and dad, and they are not related to you by blood, but you love them. They love you because it's kind of what you learn along the way. So that's number three. Number three, the lady, to her credit, the lady that was shown in that video, the last lady, I think the black lady, if you look at the longer clip, she does say why she cut off her son, I think, because he has been into drugs. He's been doing drugs and terrorizing the family. So she had to put, you know, a line up, so to speak. So to her credit, that's where her line was drawn. One of the psychiatrists she had on there, his name is Joshua Coleman. He specializes in this particular area of trying to reunite families, children. Most of the time, the cutoff is children of their parents, like you said, KJ. And children will cut off the grandchildren. That is it's so destructive. I'm not a grandparent yet, but it is so destructive that a child can take away a grandparent, a grandchild from her grandchildren's grandparents just because of some flimsy psychological thing that you've been told is okay to do. Number 5. If you are seeing a therapist, this is Shelly saying this, okay? If you are seeing a therapist, I'm not saying get off your medications. I'm not saying that. But if you are seeing a therapist, I'm going to say, in my never to be humble opinion, let's say 7 years or longer, you're in the wrong therapist, because a therapist's job is to wean you away from him or her. A good therapist will wean you away from him or her, let you go off on your own. There's a place for therapy. There's a place for medication. I'm not saying not to do any of those things, but if you are still going to your therapist after, I'm going to average of 7 years, so to speak, maybe a little less depending on the circumstances, you're in the wrong. Either you are in the wrong therapist, or the therapist is milking you for the payments.
Yeah. And guess what? Most of these people are in therapy because of family or familial breakdowns. Okay. Family has always been in the past. It's been meant to be a training ground for this type of stuff. You learn. It's the first form of government, first form of structure that you're supposed to learn in. A mother, a father, you have siblings, and you learn order and decency and things like that. But now we have such a breakdown in these families in the United States, and they're not there to teach patience, forgiveness, boundaries, and accountability. We are missing that very important part of our development. And so because the globalists and the leftists know this, and the Marxists, this is what they've been trained to do, to destroy the family. Because when you destroy the family, you destroy the community. And then when the community goes, so does the country. So folks, we have to push back against this in 2026. We have to come together as families, as communities. We have to get rid of all this divisiveness, and come together as a country who love this country, who want to see it thrive and go back to tradition. Honestly, we got to go back to tradition. Because again, the way things are going, and I think it's starting to turn a little bit because we're starting to see more marriage and things like that. But this is how we build a strong nation, folks. And I want to, Shelly, I know you have some super chats before we get to the last topic.
All right, let's go see what we got over here. Christopher, thank you for your $2 super chat. He's praying for our USA. Absolutely. Thank you, Christopher. Happy New Year. Thomas, thank you for coming back, Thomas. How are you? Happy New Year. With your 2,000 yen. Thank you.
Wow.
Happy New Year, ladies, from Kobe, Japan. I love your work. I'm still waiting for my Kobe steak. Thank you, Monica, for stepping in with your $10 super chat. He says, hi, ladies. I'm late to the live, so I don't know what you're currently discussing, but I just wanted to tell y'all how grateful I am that I found this channel a year ago. Keep speaking the truth. Thank you, Monica, for joining us. Better late than never. And you can always rewind and watch it again.
Absolutely.
The voice of reason. Thank you for your $5 super chat. And one of our mods. I need to put my money in the plate. Nicole just ate that segment up about culture. My God, I shouted like I was in church. Wow, thank you.
Wow, you see that? He's screaming like a woman.
Real quick, I'm sorry, when he said church, we just got to mention passing today of Richard Smallwood.
Yes.
Yeah, so but anyway, go ahead.
Tore me up. There's certain music that's a soundtrack to parts of your life. And for those of us who've endured some hard tragedies, listening to certain types of gospel music has been that bridge over those troubled waters. And just some of the lyrics are so beautiful and they lead you closer in your walk with God. It leads you to the word of God. And he was prolific at doing that. He's written some beautiful music. May his memory be a blessing to all who loved him, but his musical legacy will be with us forever.
Absolutely.
Will be with us forever.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We have another super chatter there.
All right, who we have here? We have Robert Mason. Thank you for your $10 super chat. Robert Mason's from Baltimore, living in Nebraska. Wow, that's a good difference. My family knows. That's right. Thank you. I heard someone real quick in the chat, I can't remember who it was, said that she goes to therapy because all the people around her won't.
Listen, somebody got to take one for the team.
Yeah.
You know, there was someone else in the chat who was mentioning, what if everybody else in your family is narcissistic? And you needed to leave for your own peace of mind and start fresh and build a positive new group. My point to you is, yes, every family has its challenges. Every family has a Fredo, you know, and there may be several Fredos and there may be some real serious issues in that family. We're not saying to endure those issues, to put your life on the line. We're just saying, don't throw them away. You know, Christmas is one day a year. Your mother's birthday, one day a year. You know, I'm not suggesting by any stretch of the imagination that you burn the village because you had an argument with your mother. Sometimes taking a beat is a good thing for both people when you're having an argument. But to purposely walk away from your family forever, this is not a short-term thing. This is a forever thing, gives you harm. It disconnects you from the thing that God gave you to make you feel connected. And that's the point. So yes, go out and build your tribe. Get you some wonderful friends that you can talk stuff with on the podcast about politics, because y'all don't know this, but we would talk about stuff like this even if we weren't on the podcast, right? But that doesn't mean that you throw everything else away. Way back when I was a brownie, there was a song, is make new friends, but keep the old ones. One is silver and the other is gold. Very much that way with your family. And while we're talking about family, I'm sorry, I know KJ, I'm hogging up a bunch of time, but someone very special is watching. And I've just wanted to say this, maybe a week ago, you know, families go through things. So my family was going through something, and someone I love very dearly is fighting very hard. And, you know, he is fighting a rare and aggressive illness. And that's the way medically we describe it, rare and aggressive. But can I tell you, his family is also rare and aggressive. You know, if you want that smoke, you pick the right family. We're coming for you. We're going to do everything we can do, but pray for us. So if I'm on the show and I look a little distracted, or I look a little down, or you see me scrolling on my cell phone, it is no way me being disrespectful to you or not paying attention to the conversation. But sometimes family takes a little bit of precedence over me spouting off about my politics. So forgive me and give me that little bit of grace. Thank you both and the production team for standing next to me in my time of need.
Absolutely, Nicole. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. Well, we are almost at the end of the show, but the final issue that is going to define us in 2026 is faith. Okay. Christian faith, particularly. All right. America is a Christian nation, and Christians are the key to a thriving West. And we must not remain, we can't remain silent. We've been too quiet, folks. We got to get loud about our faith, because our country needs us. Take a look. This is clip 10.
But the Muslims became the majority. And once they became the majority, they were no longer tolerant of the people who took them in and accepted them and included them in the country. They felt they were not a part of the country. They felt they were a part of the Islamic Ummah, or the Islamic nation. So when they turned against their brethren Christians who lived in the same country, and Jews, but specifically the Christians, they began massacring us in large numbers, because they thought we are in power now, and therefore we set the rules on how things should be. And that's really what drove the country into war.
That Charlie communicated so well. America is a Christian nation. America is undoubtedly a Christian nation. Now listen, we're not a theocracy where you force people to worship the way that you worship or pray the way you pray or believe what you believe. We do believe, of course, in the First Amendment. We believe in the freedom of religious expression, but it is a lie. Anyone who tells you that Christianity is not inextricably intertwined with America's founding is not telling you the truth. It is. From the Declaration of Independence to all of our founding documents, all of the founders, at the very least, understood that it was the direction of providence, the creator of the universe, the giver of all rights, that laid the foundation for this country, is the source of liberty and the author of morality. And without recognizing that, America does not make sense. America makes no sense without Christianity. America makes no sense without the recognition, as we read in the Declaration of Independence, that we were given certain unalienable rights, among them being life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, given to us by a creator whose power transcends the government, and therefore the government cannot arbitrarily take those rights away.
All right. Well, that was Allie B. Stuckey. Love her. She has a YouTube channel here. And then the first clip was Brigitte Gabriel. She has been speaking out against radical Islam for years. And both just brought it all to the point. Western civilization was built on Christian truth, folks. The concepts of human dignity, equality under the law, individual rights, they are all Christian ideas. And the West didn't invent these values. It inherited them from a biblical worldview. And folks, when Christianity fades, the moral foundation erodes.
Absolutely.
And so if you don't hear anything else, at least for me, I know going into 2026, we have to be bold. We have to be bold Christians and stand up against what we see as this radical Islam that is trying to take over not just our country, but the West and the world. I want to get your thoughts on this, Shelley. The clips that we just saw. I know you are a huge fan of Brigitte Gabriel.
I love Brigitte. I love Allie. Been watching her over the years anyway. But think about this is how I like to think about it for people who say, we don't have to be a Christian nation or whatever if we're not. Think about it this way. Anybody, if you are, I guess, a citizen or a resident of a Muslim country and you don't convert, you die. If you're in America and you don't convert to Christianity, you live. And not only do you still live as far as life, you can still thrive because our government, again, is based on the principles, the biblical God-given principles. That's the foundation of our country. So we don't have the right to just take your life because you don't convert. Okay. That's a huge no-no. So you will still thrive here. And you will also, under our laws, our laws are to keep you protected, if you will, borders, protected as far as your property, things like that. So that's Allie's, that's not her main point, but that's one of the points she was making there. I'm just summarizing it in my way for you all. Okay. But look, we are a Christian nation. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, whatever, but we are. And we're going to stand on that because, again, if we were not a Christian nation, what else would we be? There's other country you can just go to. If we weren't a Christian nation, we would be just like any other country. The thing is that what we have to do in 2026, we have to start drawing people back. We have to start drawing our younger people back to the foundations so that not only will they have a foundation, they can start building their lives on that rock as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nicole, what are your thoughts on this?
There would be no America if we were not a Christian nation. Just if you think about what they did, the way they did it, how they survived it, and then fended off the rest of the world, it could not have been done without the hand of God. They realized that. And for 249 and almost a half years, most people have realized it, but we're now at that crossroads. We're at the crossroads where our kindness, our political correctness, our willingness to take a back seat to give to someone else the front is costing us everything, because they didn't come to share our culture. They came to overtake our culture. So when KJ says we have to stand up as Christians, she's absolutely right. This is not a time to be a weak, knees on backwards, milquetoast Christian. This is not that time, because what has that gotten us? What has this pacifism gotten us? It's gotten us Islamic call to prayer in a place where you can't ring a church bell. It's got us elected officials who barely speak English and hate this nation. This is what it's gotten us. So the people who, and I hear this quite often from folks, Christians should not be aggressive. Yes, you should. You should be aggressive in everything you do, every single thing you do. And protecting the nation that God gave us to thrive should be top tier with us. Top tier. Make no mistake. When we think about nations around the world, as Shelley was saying, that, they're average nations, nothing great, nothing too bad, but mediocre at best. Without even trying, the United States has been abundantly blessed. We are a very young nation, but we're the biggest damn dog in the fight. When the United States comes to town, things change. And that is through the hand of God and some really good weapons, but mostly the hand of God. Let's do that. It takes a special kind of person to walk away from what they know is comfortable, to stand on biblical truth and say, I'm going to defend this nation because this is the nation that I was privileged to be born in. Hear that. Privileged to be born under the stars and stripes, because without the grace of God, you too could have been born in Somalia. You could have been born in some other nation and made that great trek to try to come here to the United States. We are abundantly blessed, and we need to be grateful for that blessing. We need to defend that blessing. We are not a theocracy. We don't deny other people their religion, but we will not allow you to overtake us. And that's where we are now, at that crossroads. So I need people to stand up. Politically, I need you to stand up. Stop voting for people who do not share our values. Stop voting for people who hate us. That should be, without saying, but here we are, right? Ilhan Omar, anybody? Stop voting for people who want the destruction of this nation. Stop feeling guilty for being who you are. Stop it. Stop feeling like if someone calls you a racist, your world is going to crumble. You know how I was called white trash like 2 weeks ago.
What?
So you guys walk away like white trash. I'm like, shut up before I go over there and shake your trailer. Leave me alone. But people get so they think that word is so powerful, calling you white trash or a racist or a xenophobe or Islamophobe. None of that is power. You know it's power? The name of Jesus. I'm a Christian. I'm an American. And I'm going to stand unapologetically. I'm going to stand on that. And you can feel all the feelings you want to feel, but welcome to my great nation, this land of plenty, blessed by God. And we're going to defend it. And that's the attitude that everybody should be taking into 2026, because it's going to be a battle. There are terror cells popping up all over the place. California just had something with some people who were trying to shut some stuff down. Boston had a little something going on. They're going to come for us. And the only thing that is going to save us is God's grace and our own will to protect what he's given us. So we have to fight. We have to fight.
Absolutely. And neutrality is a myth, folks. It's a myth. As we was talking about earlier, the worldview, every society operates from a worldview. And if Christians don't shape culture, somebody else will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't produce peace. We saw that in the last 4 years. It does not produce peace. It produces domination by secular ideologies, folks. We got to get on a good foot, okay, and do it unashamed. We got to do it.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what our super chatters are saying. We have a few more that came in. Thank you all for your donations.
Right.
Robert Mason, Shrinkarella. Hi, Shrinkarella. Happy New Year's Eve. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, happy almost New Year's. Love your podcast, Truth Telling. Blessings for you all in 2026. Prayers for Nicole's family member. Thank you, Shrinkarella.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your $5 super chat. Saying Bill Federer, the founder and author, has the answers to Islam. I put a link in the chat. Thank you for that. Always looking out with your links. Kung Fu educating us.
Yes,
Magdalene, again, thank you for your $2 super chat from Canada. Can you force Christianity in Arab countries? No, not if you still want to walk away with your head.
Yeah, they will definitely separate your head from your shoulders. They don't have a problem doing that. They do not have a problem doing that. But here in America, I think we've got lulled to sleep and thinking that, we'll let them come. It's not going to be that bad. Okay, they can ring their bells and have their call to prayer. It's not that bad until you look at some pictures from Dearborn where they're telling non-Muslim people to stay home. Don't come to our festival because this is not for you. In America's heartland. In America's heartland. So there have been several red flags, and it's, put up or show up time. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, folks. So we are at the end of the night. Before we go, we got to tell you about our other channels, folks. Mm-hmm. So check out Just the Guys podcast. They are going to be on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You can check out Just the Guys podcast. You get an all male opinion, and they are talking about conservative politics, also how communism and Marxism have infiltrated our culture and our country. Check them out at Just the Guys podcast every Saturday at 6:30 p.m. All right. And then if you want the biblical point of view, you can check me out at KJ Christian Conservative. That's my YouTube channel where I tackle news and pop culture from a biblical point of view. And this Sunday, we have back with us Patrick from Philippians. But he's a Bible scholar, and so we're going to talk about everything under the sun with him and answer all of your questions. So definitely check us out on at KJ Christian Conservative. Me and Michelle will be back on Sunday. All right, ladies, I know we got to go, but just a quick, what else do you want to say just about the new year? Just a quick Happy New Year to our chat and everybody listening and watching. I'll start out with you, Nicole.
Listen, I am so excited for this year to be over. Whew, let me tell you. Like, swoosh, we made it.
Right.
But I am grateful. I am grateful that the Lord, my Father, has, given me the great grace of waking up every single day almost of this year. And I resolved to be a better steward of my energy and my time. Spending this year on Pop and Politics has been amazing and a bunch of fun. I would have never thought myself a podcast type person, but who knew, right? Ta-da! Here we are. So Happy New Year, everybody. I hope that you celebrate responsibly. Call somebody if you need a ride. Don't be out here doing things that you shouldn't do. And I wish everyone the very best in this year coming. All your dreams, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right, Shelly, what's your Happy New Year?
Let me read Jessica's super chat first. Happy New Year, Jessica. Thank you for your $5 super chat. She says, when people call me something, I just look at them and say, why, thank you. You're so sweet. Have a Happy New Year, everyone. I love all of you. Thank you, Jessica. Tell Mackenzie Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jessica.
My wish, my thought, my prayer for the new year, number one, is that we as a nation, number one, we own and take homage of how blessed we are, keep an attitude of gratitude, and just I don't know, just bask in that. That's all I had to say. I try not to make New Year's resolutions because by the end of the week, I already broke it. So whatever.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, I thank you all. I love you guys, Nicole, KJ. I told them the other day, we are bonded for life because we can travel together and we kind of know each other.
That's the thing. If you can put the three of us in one hotel room and everybody come out put together, shoes on, earrings on, and on time, yeah, that ain't nothing but the Lord thy God.
I know, right? And look, we all know each other's personality. You know, we don't take it personal. It's just we had fun. Actually, we had fun. But that's it. That's all I want to say. You know, just understand, and I hope you know, again, we are blessed, and we just need to be be grateful, have that gratitude, and just keep one step in front of each other, in front of the other. That's it.
Amen.
All right. Same here. First, I want to say I love each and every one of you ladies, both of you ladies. I was thinking about both of you ladies. I love you guys. You guys are my sisters. Keep me sharp, keep me on point, you know. And so I'm so thankful. I feel like 2025 was for me was a year of revelation, I think. Like just certain things, you know, I feel like God kind of revealed to me. And so I feel like 2026 is just going to be a year of action. You know, I feel like it's going to be like this year was like all of us coming together, you know, finding everybody, including you guys in the chat and the people who watch and view us. We all were just finding one another. And so then 2026 is the year of action where we're together. Now we know we're all out there. And so now we come together as a force of change, as a force, some type of force. That's all I could think of. And again, you know, we got a long road. I know it's not going to be easy. America has faced crossroads before, and every time renewal came when ordinary people like us refused to stay silent. Okay, so for me, 2026 is we're choosing courage over comfort. We're choosing truth over trends and faith over fear, folks. And that's what I feel like. I just do. So like I said, as we've been saying all night, Happy New Year. God bless you all. God bless our country and our leaders. And we will see you in 2026. Again, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.